Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's 6 p.m. You know what that means. 6 p.m. Central Time here in the Panhandle of Florida. It means it's time for your K1 Visa Green Card live stream where I give you all this free information utilizing my 13 years of experience processing K1 visas and green cards. Now, don't forget, this isn't legal advice. I don't give you any legal advice. I'm not an immigration attorney. I don't work for USCIS, but I have processed hundreds and hundreds of K1 visas and green cards, helping people get reunited with their families and bringing them to the United States. Now, with that said, that statement, with that said, everybody says that, right? Now, with that said, or no, I'm going to have to come up with a better word a better phrase than saying with that said. It's time for your live stream. If you have any questions regarding how to process a K1 visa or a green card, I am here to help you. All you got to do is ask me the questions. And I've got my zero sugar, whatever this drink is. It's an orange drink with zero sugar. I had to eliminate the sugar from my diet, so I had to abandon the Mountain Dew Salutes in favor of the zero sugar orange juice drink. But that's okay. Nothing bad against Mountain Dew. I drank Mountain Dew for my whole life until my doctor told me not to. So I listened to what he said. But I'm here to give you this information. If you are in the middle of a K1 visa application, or if you're getting ready to file a K1 visa application, ask me the questions. If you want me to help you, I'm here to help you. If you're getting ready to file for a 2-year green card, a 10-year green card, or you're going to renew your 10-year green card, ask me the questions. I can give you the answers. You don't have to be sitting on the phone with USCIS for hours trying to get an answer. Most of the time, I can give you the answer right here. Sometimes you're going to have to call USCIS, but it is what it is. That's another phrase I keep hearing all the time. It is what it is. I don't have to come up with a better one. Today is March 14th, 2026. It's almost the middle of the month. March is flying by, and the K1 visa process continues. The lawsuits continue to fly against the Trump administration for their unconstitutional attempt to block the reunification of American citizens with their families just by virtue of the fact that they were born in 75 countries that apparently the Trump administration doesn't seem to like. Well, you can't do that. You cannot block family reunification just because you don't like a particular country. That's not how our country works. That's not how the law works. And that's not how the Congress put this plan together back in the 70s so that Vietnam military GIs could reunify with their fiancés who happened to be from Vietnam. That's where the K1 visa process came from. The K1 visa process originated because of political pressure put on the Congress by Vietnam veterans. That's why we have the K1 visa. So if you're in the middle of a K1 visa process, you need to thank a Vietnam vet, because those are the folks that basically made this happen for us. Now, I'm not a Vietnam veteran. That was way before my time, but I did spend 20 years in the U.S. Navy, and then I spent 17 years selling Mercedes-Benz and BMWs and Lincolns, and then I spent 5 years piddling around with real estate, and now I do this YouTube channel for you guys. So I basically retired from those 3 endeavors in my life, and now I do this YouTube channel for free for you guys to try to give something back to the community because of how blessed I have been, not only with my jobs, but with also meeting beautiful Karina from Venezuela in beautiful Colombia. Now, Karina, my beautiful wife, is from Caracas, Venezuela. She relocated to Colombia in 2018 to avoid all the communism that she was sick and tired of. And then after 6 years in Colombia, she met me. After 3 years in Colombia, she met me. And then we dated for 3 years. And then I brought her to the United States on January 3rd, 2024 on the K1 visa. She had her scary visa interview at the U.S. Embassy in Bogota, Colombia. So I took her from the mountains. Well, she took herself from the mountains of Venezuela to the mountains of Colombia, whereupon we met each other, dated each other for 3 years. got her K1 visa approved, and then we got married on January 14th, 2024, here in Florida on the beach. And now we're getting ready to file for her 10-year green card. Her 2-year green card expires, let's see, March, April, in just about 3 months. So we're getting close to where we're gonna file for her 10-year green card in the first week of May, right in the middle of the time frame of the 90 days when we have to file. And she's looking forward to getting her 10-year green card out of the way, and then we're going to focus on getting her U.S. citizenship. But obviously, it's not going to be a fast process with this current administration. President Trump basically doing everything he can in his power to slow down the family reunification of family members from 75 countries, and for trying to slow down the adjudication of 2-year green card holders to 10-year green card holders, especially people from Venezuela. But we know it's not we're not worried about it. We understand what he's doing is in violation of congressional law. So he can write it, he can sign any executive orders he wants. It's not going to stop Karina from being adjudicated, because I'm going to make sure she gets her 10-year green card. And I'm going to give myself a Mountain Dew Salute, which is actually a 0 sugar orange drink. It tastes pretty good. I don't need sugar. Some people, they drink something, they don't like the sugar. Without sugar, they got to have sugar in it. I don't need the sugar. It tastes pretty good. Jody Fairfield is first up to bat here. Now, Jody's a member of this channel. Jody, hi Diego. Hope you and Karina are great. We're great. I love Karina's coffee. I'm glad you got it safely. I will be ordering some soon. It's so smooth and yummy. Yeah, now, Jody, that coffee, now we appreciate you wanting to order some. That coffee is the best coffee that we could find when we were in Colombia. We went to a coffee farm here, a coffee farm there, and so she finally decided on her coffee, which comes from Medellin, Colombia, grown at about 5,200 feet above sea level at one specific coffee farm. The coffee then gets shipped to New York, where we get it roasted, and then it's shipped to here in Florida. Then we go, and this is where she has her coffee company. And she has a t-shirt company too, but we basically backed away from the t-shirts. But it's like a pain in the rear doing t-shirts. So we're going to focus primarily just on Colombian and Venezuelan coffee. But if anybody needs a t-shirt, we have the means here to make it for you. Janiela James, hey Diego, hope all is well with you and Karina. We're good here, beautiful Florida, 72 degrees, nice and warm and sunny here at 8 minutes past 6 p.m. Central Time in the Panhandle of Florida. Jody Fairfield, it's absolutely delicious. So we're glad you like the coffee. We're glad you have such a positive feedback on the delicious coffee. It's Supremo coffee. It's also difficult to get because but Karina's coffee label only comes from one place, so the taste is always going to be the same. No matter whenever somebody buys it, the taste is always going to be the best, and it's not going to change. You can go to Walmart and buy some coffee for cheap, but the coffee flavor is not going to stay the same. I'm not bashing Walmart though. I mean, we go to Walmart pretty much most of the time for our food and stuff, and Publix too. And Winn-Dixie, although I think Winn-Dixie just got bought out by Aldi. Now, Aldi, I believe, is a German company, but we buy stuff there too. Aldi's a German company, but but you got to use paper bags in Aldi. I prefer plastic bags, but Aldi uses paper bags. But anyway, Janiela James, Diego, I came to give you some updates on my hubby's I-751. He did his biometrics on March 11th. And the status change to case is being processed by USCIS. Well, you're going to get a 0 sugar wannabe Mountain Dew Salute. Good job, Janiela. So now, Janiela is in if you're not sure what the form I-751 is, form I-751 is the paperwork you fill out when you go from a 2-year green card to a 10-year green card, when you lift the conditions. You're welcome, Daniela James. No problem. We're happy for you. Now, when your husband gets his 10-year green card, then you want to start focusing on preparing him for U.S. citizenship, right? That's going to be the next step. Because when he becomes a U.S. citizen, you don't have to mess around with all this immigration stuff anymore. Janiela James, I pray we don't have to wait a whole year, much less up to 4 years to get it. Now, you won't have to wait 4 years. A year is about a year to a year and a half is about the longest you're going to have to wait. But listen, when you've got the letter already of extension, okay? So you got a 48-month letter of extension. Make sure your husband carries that letter around with him with his 2-year green card, which when it expires, don't worry about it. If it's expired, he's still in status with his 4-year extension letter. But it's not going to take 4 years. Immigration give you 4 years. Now let's suppose worst case scenario, he still hasn't got his 10-year green card after 4 years, and your USCIS letter of extension is going to expire. All you got to do is contact your local USCIS office, give them a call, or you can set an appointment on your phone, and they'll either mail you another letter of extension, or you can go in to their office and they will stamp an I-551 stamp in his passport, which extends him again. He stays in status. But if you can get him his U.S. citizenship in the next 2 years, that would be even better, right? Then you have to worry about it. Then he's good. And that's the goal. Once he gets U.S. citizenship, he gets a naturalization certificate. But he's always going to have his alien registration number, no matter what. Even when he becomes a U.S. citizen, he's still going to have his alien registration number tied to his name for the rest of his life, just like his social security number. Okay? But don't worry about that. So that means if your husband in the future, when he becomes a U.S. citizen, if he ever decides to sponsor somebody from his family to come to the United States, he will have to have his alien registration number included on the paperwork, plus a copy of his naturalization papers, even though he's a U.S. citizen. But, so, and Jody, we're glad you like the coffee. Karina, she's watching the show in the back of the house. Today's Saturday. She's kind of tired today. She's watching the show, and she sends everybody her best wishes. So now Janiella's working on the 10-year green card. It wasn't so bad, was it? Going to the biometrics, get the picture taken, get the fingerprints taken, and have him sign his full name. Green card holders are going to be, subject to more biometrics every 5 years now. I believe it is. Yeah, I'm sure it's every 5 years you're going to get a letter for biometrics. But don't worry. It's just part of the deal, right? Janiella James, no, it was so easy. We were in and out in like 15 minutes. Right. That's great. So Karina, we're gonna mail off Karina's 10-year green card I-751 on May 5th. That means the reason we're waiting until May 5th is twofold. Number one, it's like the middle of her 90 days. Plus, we don't want to get a biometrics appointment letter while we're on vacation in the May, because in May middle of May we're going to be on vacation. So we don't want to get a biometrics appointment while we're in Nevada or wherever we're going to be. Jody Fairfield, I am almost ready to send you my kids' paperwork. Tanner resigned his law enforcement position and has an interview at Nucor in 2 weeks. That department was not for him. Another job change. Okay. It's okay to have a job change, but you got to just maintain evidence of income. So if he's changing jobs, that's no problem. It's no big deal, as long as his income is equal to or above what it was when he went through the paperwork. Jody Fairfield, holding us back on paperwork, it's been crazy. Yeah, I understand paperwork. I mean, Karina's got her paperwork stacked like this. I mean, she's got a big album full of evidence for her 10-year green card. It's crazy collecting evidence every month. I print the bills off this computer with her name on it, my name on it. Every month we're collecting photos with family and friends, celebrating this event, that event, and documenting it in her 10-year green card paperwork and application, actually. And we use, I don't know if I have them here. I got these document protectors that we use right here. So we put the paperwork in document protectors like this, okay? You put the paperwork in here, and then now this goes in a binder, and it goes higher and higher. And then the binder, when it goes to immigration, it will sit on the shelf somewhere at USCIS, but the paperwork will be well protected. You know, you don't want to send your paperwork in just a small folder, like a paper folder, and no protection on the, because what happens, remember, USCIS is not like a fortress. Something could happen. You want to try to protect the paperwork as best as you can, from water damage and from time sitting, basically. And that's the best way to do it. You don't want to use any paper clips, or you don't want to use anything like this. No paper clips on your paperwork, okay? No staples, no binder clips. You don't want to use binder clips, but paper clips or staples. That definitely will slow down your process, because immigration is going to have to stop, pull off the paper clips, pull off the binder clips, pull out the staples, and then scan your documents. Don't do that, okay? Don't use those kind of things. Jody Fairfield, yes, it's a lot. I feel like I've spent enough on printer ink that I could have brought a new bedroom suite. Yeah. I look right. Are you talking about something like this? Look at that. I know what you're talking about. That's $50+ just for one packet of print of ink. That's crazy, right? Let's see. Jenniella James, they even uploaded some evidence on my portal online. Oh, okay. Well, good. Jenniella, you're good. You're just got to put your feet up on the desk and wait for the 10-year green card. You might have to go to a green card interview. Maybe. We'll see what happens, right? Just relax. And Jody Fairfield says, yes. It's, I use this ink right here. Now, they don't pay me that Canon doesn't pay me to advertise their freaking ink, okay? But that's the kind of ink, that's the ink that we have for this printer on this computer. And I keep printing photos and papers and this and that. Jody Fairfield, mine is almost $100 for the pack of ink, and I can go through it in a week. Wow. It's $50 or $60. I'm trying to remember. I think it's $55, something like that, for this. And I can print maybe, 30 pictures with one pack. So it's expensive. But, you look at it like this. It's an investment in your family's future and your husband's future. My wife, Karina, when I need printer ink, I go to Walmart and I get it. And then I have it, and I buy a second backup box, so I don't have to make a second trip there for, until the next batch runs out. But you want to make you want to have your pictures in color. You don't want to make black and white pictures. You want immigration to see color pictures. Now, you can print them on paper. You don't have to put them on photo paper. That would be even more expensive. You can print pictures of group family gatherings and stuff. You can do it on paper. Because immigration, they're just going to look at the pictures, and then they're just going to shred them, or they're going to put them in a burn bag and burn them. So you don't need to use photo paper, the expensive stuff. You want to keep the photo paper for your family at your house. But Jody's spending a lot of money just on ink. So I feel for you. It's expensive. The whole process is expensive. And, the K1 visa to application is over $600. The 2-year green card application is $1,440 for an adult, $950 for a child under 16 and under. But remember, when you file to lift the conditions off of your 2-year green card for a 10-year green card, if you brought a K2 into the United States, then they can be included in the lifting the conditions paperwork, the 751, and there's no extra fee. The only thing you'd have to pay for is the biometrics for the child, which is $85. Jody Fairfield, absolutely 100%. I love my daughter-in-law so much and can't wait for her to get her green card. There you go. And I want to go and meet her family in San Andres, Colombia. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jody, but San Andres is an island chain that is way off the coast of Colombia or in the Caribbean Sea. I think San Andres, and now I could be wrong, but I think that's an island chain. Yeah, I'm good, right? I know my history of Colombia. There's a big dispute between Colombia and I believe Nicaragua. I think Nicaragua claimed San Andreas Islands as for them. You know, like the Argentine government claimed the Falkland Islands from is theirs instead of the British running the Falk. I think the British should just give the Falkland Islands back to Argentina. Yeah, San Andreas is a tourist place. If you know, in order to travel to San Andreas Island from Bogota, you have to pay a tourist tax just to enter the island. I can't remember how much it is, but you got to pay a tourist tax. So you fly from Bogota to San Andreas, and it's very close to Nicaragua, and it's a long way from Colombia. The San Andreas Islands are really close to Nicaragua, but they're very far away from Colombia. And Jody says, yes, closer to Nicaragua. They wanted it, but Colombia somehow got it. Well, Colombia, they run the island. They got it. Okay, it's ran by they have their own little network, their own little district there, and it's Colombian territory. And if Nicaragua ever decided they were going to try to take the islands from Colombia, the Colombian military would take care of Nicaragua in about probably two to 3 days. The Colombian military is very strong. So Nicaragua won't mess with the San Andreas Islands. Jody Fairfield, yes, my son has to wear a bracelet. Right. My daughter-in-law and her family were born and raised on the island. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Corinne and I were going to go to San Andreas Island for a vacation. When we were in Bogota together, we were looking at going there for a vacation. But when I'm not a big advocate of tourist tax, okay? In fact, I'm not a big advocate of any kind of tax because, you know, I believe that I know how to spend our money better than the government does. So when the Colombian government were telling us we'd have to pay a tourist tax to go to San Andreas Island, I said, okay, well, we ain't going to San Andreas Island. So we went to Cartagena for our vacation instead, you know. So either way, Colombia got our money, but I wasn't going to pay a tourist tax. It's not in my blood. If I can avoid a tax somehow, some way, I'm going to avoid it. Even when I drove Karina from Miami Airport to our home here in the Panhandle of Florida, there's all these freaking toll bridges and toll roads in Miami up to I-95 and across the turnpike, etc. Across here, there's these. I did a GPS map avoiding the toll bridges. Why in the heck am I going to pay the government of Florida to use a freaking road when I already pay sales tax anyway? And all the roads are paid for. Anyway, every road in Florida is paid for. Do you know that Florida has the second most amount of toll bridges next to communist China? There's only one other place that has more toll bridges in the world than Florida, and that's communist China. So I guess they're going to try to, scrounge their money somehow. But right here, where we live in the Panhandle, there are two ways to go to the beach. We can go to the beach down this road, which is a toll road for $5 or $3. Now I think the government had changed it from $5 to $3, something like that. And then there's another road about 4 miles down the way that's free. So why in the heck would I want to pay $3.50 to go to the beach and $3.50 to come back when I can drive for free down this road here? Because the road's already been bought and paid for by us taxpayers. Jody Fairfield, I don't blame you. I can't wait to go to Medellin and Cartagena also when we go. Yeah, Medellin. Now Karina's been to Medellin, and that's a big place. That's just where our coffee comes from. This is where we get our. That's That's our coffee farm point of contact. And we spent a week in Cartagena. And I'm trying to remember the hotel. We stayed in the Ibis Hotel. We just flew to Cartagena. We flew from Bogota to Cartagena, Colombia. We didn't have any hotel plans, nothing. We just flew there and said, okay, let's see if we can find a hotel. And we went into the Ibis Hotel, and luckily they had a room. So we were on like the 15th floor, I think, overlooking the Caribbean Sea, and we stayed there for a week. Now, what's interesting about Cartagena is that it's very windy there, but very hot. That's on the coast. Exactly right. Cartagena is on the west coast of Colombia, and it sits on next to the Caribbean Sea. And then on the east coast of Colombia, you got the Atlantic Ocean, if I'm correct. I think that's right. And when you go to Medellin, Karina's been to Medellin, and we've been to Cartagena. When you go to Cartagena, go to the Castle de Felipe. That's a Spanish castle that was built, like in the 1500s. So it's 500-600 years old. Great place to go for a tourist visit, and then buy you some souvenirs for your fridge. I loved it in Cartagena. I mean, I got sick though. I ate some breakfast early in the morning at one of the restaurants there, and I obviously had a bad bug or something. I got sick for about 4 hours. But as for that 4 hours, I'm like, okay, it's the consequences of eating street food. Jody Fairfield, okay, will do. That's my only fear, is having a heat stroke on the island, though. Yeah, you won't get heat stroke. As use sunscreen, drink plenty of water, you'll be okay. It's a hot place. St. Andreas Island is a hot place. It's a tourist place, but it's a beautiful place. I mean, from the pictures that we saw. And our landlord, we rented our apartment in Bogota. Our landlord went to St. Andreas Island for his vacation, and he loved it. He was there, I think, for a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. But I refuse to go to a place which tax me for entering their freaking local. They're going to tax me just because I want to go spend my money on their island and help their economy, and they're going to tax me plus? No, I'm not going to do that. So we didn't go to San Andreas Island. We went to Cartagena. We also went to Santa Marta. We went to Bendita Beach. Bendita Beach was a great trip. There's a boat that leaves from Cartagena. We drove up. We went on a boat up the coast of Colombia, and we went to Bendita Beach. I think it's closed now, though. I think they closed it to the public. But we went there and spent the day there. It was good. And then where else did we go when we were in Colombia? We went to Chahuachi. We climbed the tallest waterfall in Colombia. That was a hike, especially for me. My knees were like, dang, how much higher is this thing? So we hiked to the top of this mountain. We went to Villa de Leyva, which is like a very historic part of Colombia, where Colombia basically started getting its independence from Spain. We passed by the battlefield where Colombia got its independence from Spain with Simon Bolivar, the liberator of South America. It was a great trip. I loved my 3 years in Colombia. I mean, I knew it would be years and years and years before I went back there, because when I told Karina, when you get to the United States, we're not traveling internationally until you are a U.S. citizen. And she understands that. Chris, oh no, you teaching Karina to do bad things in a flying plane? Best wishes for her training. No, she did great. Karina had her first flying lesson yesterday, and she took us up to about 2,500 feet. I looked on the radar tracker, and I tracked her flight path. All you got to do is put in the plane tail number, and you can look up the flight path of the plane and its history. And she flew in a Cessna Sky King, I think it is, or Skyhawk. She flew in a Cessna I-127 Skyhawk. Took us up to 2,500 square feet, flew us up and down the beach, and then she turned and flew us back. And then her instructor and basically helped her and showed her how to land the plane and take off the plane. So she did good. Karina's first, I made a video about it. Karina's first flying lesson. Jody Fairfield, yes, my son loves it. They're also a beautiful place, but yes, it's crazy how expensive it is on the island. Yeah, it's crazy, but that's because they have to fly everything in. Everything is so much more expensive than mainland Colombia, right? Well, the reason for that is because it's an island. They have to fly. They have to fly in everything: food, construction materials that comes in by boat or by plane. So everything that they have on the island, the San Andreas Islands, is transported there by plane or boat, and that ain't free. So that's why things are more expensive there. Chris, I'm still waiting on the 2-year green card. You get it. Relax. Let's do this. We're going to do this. We're going to put some mega pixie dust. Okay. Mega pixie dust. Even though Trump's irritating me right now with this immigration stuff for green card holders. And we're going to put some lucky blue pixie dust on your green card. Okay. So you get it. Let me see if I can move this out of the way. I don't know why that keeps jumping in there. But anyway, it is what it is. You get your 2-year green card, Chris. Just be patient. You went to the interview, right? You did everything that you were supposed to do. You followed the rules. You did the paperwork. You did the 2-year medical exam. You repeated it, right? Something just come across the screen here. I hate when it does that because I'm not at all interested in looking at the news. But now I got to figure out how to unblock this stuff. Now where'd you go? What happened here? Crazy. I don't know if you still can hear me, guys, but I'm going to go back and log out of here and see what's going on because I just basically booted myself off of the computer. Let me see. I don't know. Can you guys still see me? I can't see you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reboot and come back because I may be live right now, but I'm not seeing myself on the computer. Okay, I'm going to log off and come back on, okay? Hold on a second. This is what happens when Karina's not sitting here with me. I should be able to, but I can't. Okay, 1 second. Maybe I can jump back on here. Okay, now I'm back. Hopefully you can see me. Tell me you can see me, because if you can, I am back. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Let me see. Chris, it was an interview in October 2025. That was your 2-year green card interview, right? Okay, I'm back. There we go. I lost everything from the computer. I couldn't see what was going on because of this. Sometimes I hit something and the news feed came in and totally blocked everything. You will get your 2-year green card. Don't worry. You just got to wait and wait and wait. That's the whole deal. It's not a quick process by any means. Now remember, Karina, when she files for her 10-year green card in May, in 2026, we probably may not hear back from immigration until 2027, the end, or 2028. But she's going to have her 4-year letter of extension. And I'm not worried about her not getting her green card. We just got to get Trump on board with some of the stupid things. He does a great job with blocking illegal immigration, but now he's messing with green card holders. You can't do that unless they're criminals. Jody Fairfield, it does worry me a little bit that she doesn't have paperwork yet. I'm afraid when the kids leave town for dates or whatever. No, she's fine. Don't worry. Everything, look. Lucky blue pixie dust, mega pixie dust. Everything's going to work out just fine. Don't worry. Karina has gone through a lot. She had to go through a bunch of stuff just to get her K-1 visa approved. She had to go through an Interpol interview. She had to get an Interpol investigation. She had to get the letter from the president of Colombia as a character reference. I mean, it was absolutely insane paperwork, but we got through it. Jody Fairfield, it does worry me. Don't worry. Everything's going to work out, okay? I mean, it's easy for me to say that, but it's one thing I can say is if you followed the book, if you did everything by the book, if you followed the rules, if you did everything by the way USCIS wants you to do it, you'll be fine, okay? Chris, I just met lots of newbie Navies going to class or training today. Okay, you met newbie Navies going to class. Okay, very good. David Vanderberg, hi Diego, Embassy want all our communications for 2 years, 525 pages of transcripts. You're talking about the U.S. Embassy in Singapore, right? The U.S. Embassy in Singapore is where you went for the K-1 visa interview. And they're giving you a hard freaking time. But all you got to do is provide them with everything they want, and everything is going to be fine, okay? Hang in there. Yeah, Singapore is, I think that's worse than Ghana in regards to being strict. Francois Livingston, good evening, Diego and Karina. Francois, what's going on? How's Hamid? How's everybody in upstate New York? Here in Florida, it's now still 72 degrees, nice and warm today. Tomorrow, I think we're going to go to the beach. Tomorrow's Sunday, March 15th, we're going to go. I'm going to drive Karina. We're both going to go to the beach. And, I've lived in Florida for over 42 years. So I'm about beached out. To me, the beach is just a place to go to get freaking sand in my clothes and in my shoes. But Karina loves the beach. She's from the mountains of Venezuela. She used to drive to the beaches in Venezuela, in Caracas, and she loves the beach. So tomorrow we go to the beach, even though I don't get excited about the beach. Plus, there's sharks in the Gulf of America. Let's see. Francois, good evening, Diego and Karina. David Vanderberg, yes, you're in the embassy in Singapore. And Chris says to Francois, how is it in the coldness? What's the weather like in upstate New York? And Francois says the weather's not too bad, Chris. Chris, how did Karina like flying upside down? She didn't fly upside down. No, Karina didn't fly upside down. She flew straight. She took us off, went to 2,500 feet. We flew to the beach. We flew up and down the beach because Karina loves the beach. We did, and then we came back and landed at the airport. So, we didn't go do any barrel rolls, nothing like that. Maybe in the future, right? But first we got to see, let's get her trained on flying a plane the regular way. Chris, that is great. What's the next class? I haven't scheduled it yet. We're going to figure that out. Right now we're focusing on her 10-year green card. But I just wanted to give her a discovery flight to see if she liked flying. And she was like a natural. She got into the pilot seat. She watched the instructor. They went through the pre-flight checklist, and she taxied it. She taxied the plane over here. She taxied the plane over there. Listening to the radio, followed the instructions on the taxiway, waited for another plane to come in. And when we were flying at 2,500 feet, we had to avoid an American Airlines flight that was flying above us. So we couldn't climb. We had to maintain altitude at 2,500 feet because there was an American Airlines flight that was taken off from Pensacola International Airport. So we had to avoid that of course, and we're the smaller plane. So in the rules of aviation, the small plane always takes evasive action from the big plane. So we just maintained our altitude. There was a lot of flight traffic. So we were basically stuck at 2,500 feet. We wanted to go maybe to 5,000, 6,000 feet, but we couldn't because of all the air traffic flying out of Pensacola International. In the next lesson for her, we'll have her do a touch and go at Pensacola International Airport if it's not too busy with flight schedules. A touch and go is where you fly, you land, and then you take off again. So that's what we're going to do. That will be on the next plan. But right now we're focusing on her 10-year green card. But let me tell you, I made a video about her flight, her first flying lesson, and I put her flight tracker. I called up her flight tracker on the computer here with the tail number of the plane, and then I printed that with the pictures of her flying, and that was going in her 10-year green card application. Karina's got evidence of taking flying lessons. She's got evidence of her taking English classes. Okay, she's got evidence of her advancing her life here in the United States. When you come to the USA on a K-1, you get your green card. Try not to become stagnant, Mr. Beneficiary, Miss Beneficiary. Try to do things that will benefit you and help you, achieve other things besides, the basics. And I started this live stream. I forgot, the time sprung forward. So I'll think how's the lighting? Can you see me okay? I may have to turn some more lights on here so you can see me better. But right now I'm just running off the basic front light from the teleprompter thing. So yeah, Karina's right now, Chris, she's focusing on, we're both of us focusing on her 10-year green card. And we've got a vacation coming up too. So, we're going to fly from Pensacola to Las Vegas, but there's a TSA strike. Well, not a TSA strike. The government, I guess the Democrats are withholding the bill to fund the TSA in Homeland Security. So TSA people right now are working for free. So we got to send a prayer out to our TSA workers and our folks that do the security at the airports, because they're working for free. And we need the Democrats to get on board and support funding them so that they can get a freaking paycheck. Because right now airports are backing up. The lines is like, you got to get to an airport, especially like a big hub like Atlanta. You got to get there 5 hours before your flight, so you can just make it through the TSA line. I mean, it's crazy. The Democrats need to freaking fund Homeland Security. Quit playing these stupid games. Chris, so what do you think of this war in Iran? Well, I'm a big person that supports peace, and I would much rather that we were living in a peaceful, happy world. But when the Iranian government constantly says death to America and death to Israel, and they're constantly trying to get a nuclear weapon, which they will use on Israel if they can get one, my opinion is the Iranian government, as it is right now, should not be in possession of a nuclear weapon. So therefore, I'm in support of what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to prevent the Iranian government, not the Iranian people. He wants the Iranian government that is currently there running the country into oblivion not to get their hands on a nuclear weapon, because these crazy freaking mullahs will use it. But as for the Iranian people, I'm sure, like we in the United States, we would much rather not be at war with anybody. We would much prefer that we were not fighting anybody. We would rather be just defending our homeland. But Trump gave the Iranians lots of opportunities. In fact, the United States has been at war with Iran since 1979. In 1979, the Iranians took over the U.S. embassy in Tehran, and then they invaded U.S. territory. That was a declaration of war. So the United States technically has been at war with Iran since 1979. So President Trump is trying to finish that. So the only thing that we need is to get a government in place in Iran where they are normal human beings that want to live in peace with their neighbors and not kill them. So, Trump's objectives are good, but it's jacking up the price of gas like crazy, right? Which isn't so good. And that's going to create more inflation. But the end goal is to liberate Iran from those crazy clerics that just basically want to go to war with everybody in their neighborhood, including wipe Israel off the planet. Israel's not going anywhere. That's what I think. I would much rather we live in peace. I would much rather see the Iranian government be friends with the United States. And so we can open up our embassy in Tehran and process K-1 visas and green cards in Iran and not in some other country. You know, I've helped a couple of people from Iran get their green cards and get their K-1 visas approved. I've took them through a very difficult process that they didn't even understand, but I understand. I understand, and they listened to me, and I got them their green cards and their K-1 visas. So, you know, it's a lot of things I've done to help a lot of people over the years get reunited with their loved ones. That's the whole objective of this channel. That's the only reason I do it, because I know what it's like to be separated from a family member that you love and miss. And it's not fun. It can be stressful sometimes, right? And we don't want that. I want you guys to be reunited and legal here in the USA. Legal status. So you don't have to be looking over your shoulder for an ICE agent or for Border Patrol or for somebody to come up and arrest you, detain you, and deport you. I don't want to see that happen. But the only way that's not going to happen is if you follow the rules. Get a visa. Get your green card adjudicated correctly. Get your police records done. Get your medical exams done. Pay your visa fees. Do all the things you're supposed to do. Go to your visa interview, the scary visa interview. Chris, I hope they don't stop the massive one. I hope they don't drop the massive one in Iran and wind up shaking the earth. No, Trump's not going to do that. The Iranian government is basically on its last legs, okay? It really is. They're just hanging on by a hair and a tooth. They have no military. They have no navy, right? They have no air force. They have no army left, hardly. You know, all they have is some guys launching missiles in wherever they can point them. So Trump says it's going to maybe take 5-6 weeks to take care of this. I wouldn't have put a time schedule on it. You know, being a military guy, you don't want to give the enemy a time schedule so that way they can hide for 5 weeks and then come out of their bunkers after we stop bombing, whatever. I don't know. But let's hope that the Iranian people get a government that will normalize relations with the West. Remember, Iran used to be called Persia. Why do you think the Persian Gulf is called the Persian Gulf? Because Iran is actually Persia. You know, like the communists, they took over Burma. They called it Myanmar. There's no such place as Myanmar. It's the country of Burma. Myanmar is no such, it doesn't exist. It's what the communists call it. The United States doesn't call Myanmar Myanmar. The United States calls Burma Burma. We got communist Cuba on its last legs. Communist Cuba is by the end of March, they're going to be begging the United States to come in there and help them. But first, we got to get a pro-democratic government in there that supports free trade and freedom for the Cuban people. Chris, its son took over, right? The son of the Ayatollah, right? He is supposedly running Iran right now, Persia. But nobody's seen here, nobody's even seen him. No, he's not been on TV. He hasn't been anywhere. You know, so maybe he's in a hospital bed from one of our military's bomb runs. Maybe maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But what Trump wants is a government in there that's going to be pro-Western, so we can do business with them, and then they're going to stop threatening their neighbors. But yeah, you're right, Chris. The son took over from the Ayatollah, and this guy supposedly is a lot worse than the first Ayatollah. He's even more radical than his father. You know, but to be honest with you, in my opinion, he's not going to last too long, because our intelligence resources are so good that Trump probably knows where he is. And it's just Trump's just going to say the word and he's not going to be on the planet anymore. So let's see what happens. Let's hope we get peace in the Middle East soon. That's what I hope for. Everybody gets along. Everybody's happy and kumbaya and doing trade. Our Constitution was written not to bomb countries, but to do trade with them. But sometimes you got to do this. Jody Fairfield, So does Isabel send you a copy of her letter to USCIS as to why they have waited so long to adjust their status also? Would be great for you to give your thoughts on that. So does Isabel send you a copy of her, send me a copy? Well, you don't, I mean, you can send me a copy if you want. I mean, I can look at it, of her letter to USCIS as to why they have waited so long to adjust her status. Well, she's working on, what is she? She's moved up from that status. She should be getting that status adjudicated. Right now, it's taking 6 to 9 months, maybe 9 months, even 10 months to get a 2-year green card. And the reason, because it's slowed down on the 2-year green cards, is because Trump ordered the State Department and USCIS to re-review everybody's green card from these 75 countries. Now, Karina's from Venezuela, so they re-reviewed her green card application, and there was no problems with it, obviously, because Diego put it together. And then she got a letter from immigration saying, don't forget to file your 10-year green card. But that slowed down the process. The re-review. Immigration, everybody's pulling their hair out at USCIS because they have to re-review everything. Now, you haven't sent the adjustment of status yet. Don't worry. When you send it in, it will be processed. You get a letter from immigration for a biometrics. She goes to the biometrics, gets her fingerprints taken, photo taken, and everything. Don't worry about it. And then 6 to 9 months after that, she'll either go to a green card interview or they'll just mail her green card. Don't worry. It's all good. She's good to go. Try not to overthink everything. You know, I wish this computer, I tell you what, I need to maybe get an even bigger computer. Who knows? This green card process is a waiting game. It's a game of patience. It's a game of making zero errors on the paperwork. Now, when she files for the 2-year green card, make sure there are no errors in the paperwork, especially in the affidavit of support, which is filled out by the sponsor. 0 errors in the affidavit of support. The family size has to be correct 100%. Jody Fairfield, we're going to send you everything to look at it to make sure before we submit it. Yeah, that's a good idea. I have saved so many people from getting denials or rejections or RFEs, because if members of this channel, if you are a member of this channel, you have my phone number and email address. You can call me and text me whenever you want, 7 days a week. Even if it's a Sunday, I don't care what day of the week it is. If you have an urgent immigration question and you are a member of the channel, you can join right here. I believe there's a place you can sign up. If you join as a member, you can call me or text me. You don't have to call immigration. You don't need an immigration attorney. An immigration attorney is going to charge you $400 or $500 for a freaking consultation fee. Okay? If you are a member of this channel, you're going to get you can call me for free, and I'll give you the answers. But it's not legal advice because I'm not a board certified immigration attorney. But you don't need to be. The process isn't difficult. The only time you need an immigration attorney to file for a green card or a K-1 visa is if your American citizen sponsor has a criminal record. Then that's when you call in an immigration attorney to take a look at your criminal history and to see if you qualify for the benefit. And that's it. You pay the immigration attorney the consultation fee. They review your records. You're either qualified for the K-1 or you're not. If he says you're qualified, then go home and process it yourself. If you're not qualified, don't even waste your time. Don't even try the spousal route either. Move to her country and marry her there and live in her country. Jody Fairfield, I'm so glad for you because it's so stressful. Yeah, it's stressful. I understand that. I've been through this process so many times. I know what it's like. It's not easy, especially if you're dealing with Homeland Security and USCIS. But really, they care about people. They're not trying to stop you from a green card. They're not trying to block you from a K-1. They just want to make sure you're qualified. Except for Trump. He wants to make sure nobody comes to this country. That's just an opinion. But that's his prerogative as the president, right? But we change presidents. If presidents irritate us, we change them. They're term limited anyway. Like Colombia, President Petro, the communist president of Colombia, he's term limited. They have an election coming up in Colombia. They're going to get a new president. He's done. They don't even have a second term in Colombia for president. You only get one chance. You do 4 years and then you leave. No criminal records. Okay, great, Jody Fairfield. No worries. Then everything's going to be fine. It's just going to be a slow, hurry up and wait process. That's all. Just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Okay? Now, I've been talking for almost an hour. The sun is going down out here. I hope we stay on daylight savings time. I'm so sick and tired of this changing the freaking clocks an hour forward, an hour back, an hour forward. It's absolutely insane. The government needs to leave the time alone. Leave it where it is right now and don't change it anymore. And then that way, everybody's not going to be having their circadian rhythm messed up every 6 months or whatever. Okay, guys, I'm going to go get something to eat, and I'll be back today. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy your weekend, what's left of your weekend. And I'll be back Monday, 6 p.m. Central Time for another happy chat. All right, Jody, you get the last word, Jody. You have a wonderful night, too. See you guys on Monday.